Hi, everybody. Welcome to the FiveStack. I get to Monday, and I'm like, I get to see my guy Zev today, and there's something weird and familiarly weird. Like there's this comfort to seeing you on a Monday after not seeing you on the weekend. Not sure what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. I just appreciate it. It's like being
Yeah,
home.
it
You know what
feels
I
like
mean?
we always, yeah, it's very comfortable and there's a nice, we tie up a lot of knots. There's a lot of things that we pull together that I makes me feel very good at the end of the
Yeah.
show. I feel like,
Did you
I
did you
understand this
think
now.
when you because I have a reputation, as you know. Did you think
Mhm.
that when we started hanging out and doing this, you'd be like, I'm going to do a podcast with what I've been told is the most notorious homophobe
I didn't
in the
think that.
history of Canadian broadcasting, and I would like to work with him. Like, did you think that we would love each other this much? We would dote on each other. We'd look forward to seeing each other on Mondays. Because listen, you're like this beautiful homey face to me at this point.
Yeah, homie. I gotta say, I did think about it for like a split second, but I just also thought you're the best broadcaster I've ever seen or heard in Canada and maybe in North America. And I thought that really mattered more than anything you may have said once. And the thing you said was barely like, I don't know, it was like it wasn't even a passing comment. It was kind of stupid. It wasn't even like
Yeah,
I wouldn't have declared it anything. Never mind. I mean, it was kind of funny, but it wasn't like offensive to me in any way. And I don't know
you
why
thought it
anyone
was
else took
funny when
offense.
I said when we were talking about a gay rape trial where one guy subjected four other men to a drug-induced series of rapes over a weekend in a bathhouse in Toronto, and I was on the radio, and our jury foreman was also my producer, and I said, "It sounds like you," because he was sentenced. This guy that raped four other men sounds like you've sentenced this man to the greatest 5 years of his life because turnabout's fair play. You, as a gay man, were like, "Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right."
it's funny. I mean, it's dark, but it's funny. And I wouldn't recommend saying that kind of thing in public, but because people are so sensitive and people were so sensitive back then as well to
Yeah.
things. I think they're a little less sensitive after, 8 years of Donald Trump. It's enough to like make you go, okay, you can be a little lighter on ourselves because that
We
guy
can
really
chill
sets the
out.
new standard. Yeah, he sets the new standard for low, and you couldn't go any lower than Donald Trump.
Right.
So you're basically just like an ordinary guy now. You're not even on the bottom of the
Yeah,
list.
no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it would have been nice to be an ordinary guy when someone took millions of dollars out of my pocket. But listen, turnabout being fair play, learned a lot from the experience, and I've learned to manage disappointment more than most. Right, like it's one of the things that was really important to me after losing a high-paying radio gig in Toronto, which I would never fucking do again because no one listens to the radio. And yes, I've said no 100 times since then. But the thing that keeps me going, and this is really the truth. This is the thing that keeps me going is the fact that the world is coming back to us. And I'm watching it happen. Like the Mandelson thing we'll talk about today. We're watching people chill the fuck out over dumb shit. We're watching, all the terrible people try to, co-opt, good things, great things for the world as bad things, terrible things for the world, whether it be inclusivity, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand today something I didn't understand, 10 years ago when I was on the radio. And what I understand today, which I think is really true, is that you're just never going to bully someone into thinking that they're a bad person when they don't do bad things, right? You're just
Yeah.
never going to do it. And that's where I'm at today. And I hope a lot of people are because we're going to talk about the bullying stuff today. We're going to talk a lot about, the perception of you being wrong when you're clearly right because you advocate for the right things. We're going to talk about, good people that get away with bad things. And we're also going to talk about this gold medal game yesterday.
Oh yeah,
Canada,
there was a game
USA.
yesterday. I thought there was something that happened yesterday morning. Lots of loud people and raucous people drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning in Canada. It's not normal. Not normal.
Did you
They were
not
drunk by
watch the
noon.
hockey? Well, you're welcome. It's Canada. Did you not
Yeah.
watch the hockey game yesterday?
Did not watch the hockey
Not
game.
a second of it.
Not
You didn't
even a
watch
second of it. I thought
Canada,
about it.
USA,
No,
overtime, gold medal, a minute 38 in. Jack Hughes snipes one from 20 feet out. Canada
no,
loses.
none of it.
United States wins. You didn't watch a second of that. 22 million people in Canada watching. You were one of them.
Well, I like to be part of the minority, and I am thrilled that the rest of Canada watched Canada lose, apparently, or win the
Yeah.
silver, I guess is what they say.
No, we lost fair
Yeah,
and
they
square.
lost. Yeah.
Colleen Mack, she's like, I bawled. Canadian cookie. Canada deserved it. Yes, we kind of did, but we didn't because listen, and I want to start there today because I think this is really important. By the way, 2 tickets to Lev's gun show today. If you're watching this, he's got his arms out. He's all jacked right now. Look at that. Oh yeah, no. You look
My,
sorry, Zev,
Zev.
not Lev.
I was like, Lev
Zev.
got guns? Guns? He's
No,
selling
you
guns
get
now?
Lev has no
Is this his
guns.
new merch
He's
store
as
that he's
gooey
going
as me. No.
Do you know what? Speaking of Lev, you and Lev in that Saturday morning poster that he created, you look like a like a married couple,
Yeah,
a married gay couple in
I
their 50s from their broadcasting from their. That's an aside. I'm sure people are fascinated by this conversation. I'm dying for us to get to the news, but
let's go.
talk about
Well,
the
we will in
hockey.
just a second. But
Yeah,
part of the news is a bonus story. Is
yeah.
this is the poor winning and poor losing on behalf of Canada and the United States. Now, there are 2 narratives when it comes to Canada losing the gold medal in hockey, right? To the United States. One of the narratives is Canada lost, the United States won. The other narrative is we own your fucking game and we're coming for your country. Those are the 2 narratives that are playing out on social media right now. And let me just say this before we get going. Congratulations to Team USA. Absolutely one of the greatest hockey games I've ever witnessed and watched in my 53 years, and I've watched a ton of hockey. It was sensational. I'm super proud of Team Canada. Silver's no slouch. You get through the entire round robin, you get through the preliminary rounds, you get through the playoffs, and you make it to the gold medal game, and you make it to a last shot wins. I mean, that is as much as you can ask from an Olympic hockey game, especially the gold medal game. It was beautiful. Canadian women, same thing. They get to overtime, they lose to the United States. Now, that was the United States was the first time they won gold, specifically for the men in 46 years since Lake Placid. Miracle in Lake Placid, if you remember that whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy for American hockey fans. I'm really happy for Americans that wanted their team to win and were able to physically or mentally separate Donald Trump from this hockey game. I was really happy for him. However, the problem is that America could not separate themselves politically from that hockey game, specifically MAG America. A large portion, I would say the majority of American hockey fans were able to go, oh, great game, could have gone either way. Really happy that America won. Because you take Trump out of the mix, it's a great win for the United States of America. The first time in 46 years they won gold in Olympic hockey. We've won it like 1,000 times. It's no big deal to us. It kind of felt like charity on the weekend. And so when I go through the entire litany of emotions, and I looked onto social media this morning and I started to kind of figure it out, I realized 2 things. One, that, and I know this to be true, hockey players are not the most well-educated of all professional athletes. Number 2, U.S. hockey players might be the least educated out of hockey, every professional athlete in the history of sports. Because we watched, a guy like Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk, 2 incredible hockey players, talk about how much they hated Canada, they hate Canada, and they did this for the president of the United States. Well, that president of the United States, as we will bear out in the next hour, is a pedophile, is a rapist, is a criminal, is a felon, is a thief. So we're going to spend a lot of time equating these pedophilic opportunities that Donald Trump is trying to bury underneath a sea of fugazi bullshit. And we're going to just talk about who's attached to him today. And that is Team USA. The entire team took a phone call from the president of the United States in the dressing room with one Kash
Oh my
Patel,
God, Kash
the
Patel.
incredible cartoon
Oh,
wizard of Magaland, who spent $250,000 of the United States money, of taxpayer
mhm.
money, flying into Milan so he could get shithoused with the rest of Team Canada and record these viral videos that he's so desperate to take off of the internet of him partying with people that he will never hold a candle to, co-opting the fucking accomplishments of professional athletes on behalf of America. Who do you know attached to Donald Trump other than Donald Trump that does that co-opts the accomplishments of others and turns it into a rah
Well, every
America thing.
politician does that. I mean, in fairness, every politician does it, but it is a new low for the FBI director to do that. I mean, this guy has serious business to do in making sure that, crime is managed well in America, that there is
Finding
law and
Savannah
order.
Guthrie's mom, you know,
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. You can deal with the fact that the cartels are going crazy on the south of the border,
Puerto
and
Vallarta,
yeah, and Canadians are in trouble. And Americans are in trouble because they're on vacation there. You could deal with so many things. You could deal with the president's, the Epstein files, for example. That thing keeps like bubbling. There's all sorts of
why
stuff
bother?
happening around that. But if you're him, you're preferring to do drink in public because that's something the FBI director
Wasted. He was wasted
should be
slurring. There was
doing,
at
I
one
guess. I
point,
don't know.
no, dude, there was one point where he called President Trump, Kash Patel. And it's like, it's fucking like,
Look,
it's
I'll
soulless.
play you a little bit of this from the just so
Yeah,
people can see
please.
what happened.
Here we go. There's Kash Patel. There's Kash Patel raging it up. This is the FBI director with Team USA. And listen, good on the kids. Good, great game. Team USA won. Doesn't matter how badly they were outplayed. Their goaltender was better. He's part of the team. Congratulations to these young men. As a
He looks like
Canadian, it makes me happy. He is a fucking moron.
yeah,
He is an embarrassment to the United States of America. You've got for a lack of a better term, a pedophile protecting guy that has Atchaphoria eyes
yeah,
trying to claim the accomplishment of a bunch of white kids
yeah.
on behalf of America to pretend that what's going on in the world isn't what's going on. He's like, this makes us great. You're covering up for like hundreds of pedophiles and thousands of victims, and you've destroyed millions of lives, and you're executing your own citizens in the streets. But yay, you won the fucking gold medal. There is nothing that will sane wash what happened this weekend. And the poor sportsmanship on behalf of the United States in the name of Jesus Christ and Donald Trump and Kash Patel on behalf of some of the most poorly educated hockey players in the fucking world. That doesn't take away from the accomplishment of winning gold. Congratulations to them. We've won a bunch of them. It's again like charity to us. So good for you. Great stuff. Your entire government is full of pedophiles. Your entire government is full of
Oh,
people
here we
that
go.
are co-signing pedophilia and rape. Your entire government is full of people that are going to take the accomplishment of people that have nothing to do with them and go, yay, America. This is what makes us great. And tomorrow at the State of the Union address, all of those hockey players, by the way, minus the women's team, who said no to going to the White House, who said no to the State of the Union address, because in that video, Kash Patel is asked by Donald Trump, make sure you arrange for these hockey players to come to the State of the Union. Do you know why?
Right.
Because there is nothing this fat fuck can hang on his mantle as far as his own accomplishments that makes America great. He, as he always has, like the cuckoo bird he is, has to steal the accomplishments of other to tell everybody that America's on the right track. And that accomplishment came and went on Sunday and had nothing to do with Donald Trump or Kash Patel, no matter how much they try and co-opt it.
This
Not
is
at
why I
all.
don't watch sports. This is why sports drives me nuts because people who are normally sane and rational, like normal people who couldn't just enjoy 3 hours of whatever it is of a game or something and walk away, not hating the other team, not like rubbing it in their face that they won or
Right?
lost. They would just like walk away and they'll be fine. But sports fans, I don't know what happens to sports fans when their teams win or lose, but they lose all sight of normality. They lose, everything you learned about being a good loser and a gentleman at the end of a game and like really being, everyone just loses it. Everyone becomes completely tribal. And in fact,
Yep.
this was a win for North America. This was a great day for North America. The Canadians did well. The Americans did well. We showed that we can unite around a sport. We showed that we can succeed even if we disagree with each other. We can create great entertainment. We can enlighten the world. We can win the gold
Incredible.
and the
Yep.
silver. An amazing day for North America.
Yeah. You bet.
And we all got drunk at the same time. It was a good time. Even Kash Patel was there. So it's not the end of the world. And to quote your very, very smart son, nothing matters, Dad.
Nothing.
So maybe
Nothing.
that's okay.
And that's the crazy part of that story is that he's right. My son's right. Nothing fucking matters. And what really matters to me now is watching how many of these young men from the United States of America show up to President Trump's doorstep as he has co-opted them to normalize his fucking disgusting behaviors to go, yeah, yeah, we'll give you that agency. We'll give you our reputation. We'll give you this gold medal. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being our president. And I think a lot of people are really upset about that today. And the funny part is I was chatting with a couple of Americans, won't name their names, but who watched the game, who literally hoped the United States would lose that game because of Donald Trump. And I said, no, 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 guys. No, no, no. These young men, even though their minds and brains have been co-opted by MAGA, they accomplished that on their own through years and years of hard work. So congratulations to the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you, both teams, for one of the most incredible games I've ever seen. Very proud of Canada. And at the end of the day, Canada kind of won because our president is a pedophile and a rapist. We have a prime minister who cares. So there you go.
Speaking of pedophiles and rapists, we have breaking news at the top of the countdown today. What we're going to start with is really a big deal. Lord Peter Mandelson, one of the most powerful figures in the history of the British Labour Party, was arrested today, led from his home near Regent's Park in handcuffs by plainclothes police officers. The charge is misconduct in public office, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. And the Metropolitan Police say Mandelson leaked sensitive government documents to Jeffrey Epstein while he was serving as Gordon Brown's business secretary between 2008 2010. They raided his London mansion and a second property in Wiltshire. And it's a big deal. First, it's important to remember this is not about a sex crime. It's not because he had sex with a child or anything like that. It's because he was basically committing espionage with what is either a Russian or Israeli or both spy named Jeffrey Epstein, and was handing over these huge secrets to Jeffrey Epstein, who was maybe honey trapping him with these women that he was having over all the time. But it is massive that we've had Prince Andrew and now we've had Lord Mandelson. It's an indication, and everyone should be aware of it, that this is happening with the permission of the crown. It's happening with the permission of the king. This is not one of those things that is just would happen. They are aware and they're letting it play out, and they're doing it all because of William and Catherine and the coming changeover in generational royalty that is happening in the UK has a huge and profound impact on the world. And that is why we're seeing this change. And it should terrify everyone involved in this network, especially Donald Trump, that Mandelson and Andrew are in so much trouble. Because if they're in trouble, you can bet Donald Trump is, and he may not have concluded that yet, or he may have. But those people are standing on the side of him, and the Epstein pedophile network need to be sure that they're doing something very wrong, and it's going to come bite them very soon.
I saw someone put a comment in the chat here. It said 2 for the UK, 0 for the United States. They got Prince Andrew. I mean, he's royalty.
Yeah.
And King Charles and the rest of the royal family knew this was coming. They stripped him of all his titles to prepare for this. The same thing with Peter Mandelson. And if you watch the video today, Peter Mandelson, former UK ambassador to the United States, who was deeply involved for decades with the Epstein. They call him the Dark Prince of Epstein in England. He is done. He's toast. This is a 72-year-old man that had a 25-year history with Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't matter what he had a history with Jeffrey Epstein for. It mattered that he continued to talk to, do business with, and share sensitive state secrets, armed secrets with Jeffrey Epstein. And that was the fucking point. And now we're finally getting to the stroke, right? That so many people are wondering about, which is why do you have to honeypot? Why do you have to traffic thousands of young girls from around the world? Well, you have to do it to keep people like Peter Mandelson fucking quiet. And everybody associated with Peter Mandelson, when you're doing the business of fucking over your country, when you're committing treason and sedition against your country by sharing personal, private, business information, sensitive state secrets, arms secrets when it comes to arms trading, when it comes to trade, when it comes to getting one up, when it starts to comes to starting a fight between two different countries so that you can benefit, so that you can have ideology change or regime change in a certain country. That's what we're talking about here. And that's the crux of the entire Epstein files issue for so many people. The salacious stuff is who had sex with what child. But it doesn't matter at this point because they're all complicit. And the entire game here was to figure out how each one of these guys could insulate themselves from accountability by incriminating each other. Peter Mandelson, up until about 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, Zev,
Mhm.
was a very well respected U.S. ambassador, UK ambassador to the United States. He was a lord, so he's been knighted in the House of Lords. He is also one of the most well-respected minds in economics and trade in the United States, in the UK. And he got arrested today at his house. They're
Yeah.
clearing out every one of his residences because MI5, MI6, British law enforcement, Interpol, they have reason to believe beyond fucking reasonable suspicion that Peter Mandelson took part in a cabal around Jeffrey Epstein to sell state secrets, to commit treason and sedition against England, the UK, and all of its partners, so that he could benefit personally, financially, professionally, and sexually. That's why Peter Mandelson got arrested. He is so important to the institution of politics in England, as is Prince Andrew, that I don't think people understand, and maybe you could shed light on it, the gravity of what these arrests, these charges mean to people associated with the Epstein files in the United States of America.
It's huge. I mean, Peter Mandelson is not just one of these figures that's been around. He is incredibly well regarded and has been very close to the seat of power for his entire career, both to the crown and to the prime ministers, especially Gordon Brown, which is one of the reasons he was ultimately relieved of his duty um, in Washington D.C. when he was the ambassador there. But it's also worth remembering that I think it was around 2015, maybe earlier than that, when he was found to be on Oleg Deripaska's yacht in Corfu, and he was there with Nate Rothschild, the nephew of the main Rothschild tree, and it was always it turned out to be a huge scandal because people were very, very suspicious of why he was there. And he landed up being that he gave certain kind of preferential treatments to Rusal, the Oleg Deripaska now sanctioned companies in Russia. But that's where the corruption sort of began. And you might think, well, what's that got to do with Epstein? It's got a lot to do with Epstein because the Rothschild name, as I revealed on Friday in a post I did on Narrative, is ubiquitous in everything that Epstein did. He's the most, it's a name that shows up more than any other, really, in terms of family. And the daughter there was in regular communication to Epstein. So it's interesting that you have Rothschilds both implicated in the Epstein saga from the Epstein side, and that they were involved. He was really their emissary to the United States in some ways, but they were also trying to co-opt him, co-opt these politicians like Lord Mandelson with Nate Rothschild and Oleg Deripaska. So it brings in Russia, it brings in the Rothschilds, and a very, very trusted hand of the British government, which is why this is such a significant geopolitical story. This is not just about a guy who handed secrets to another guy who was involved in some bad stuff. No, this is geopolitical in nature. This is an attempt to spy on the British establishment, and more than that, I think it's even okay to suggest that is it possible that the Rothschild family were the bankers of Queen Elizabeth, who were the close bankers of the royal family? Is it possible that they were involved in the compromise of one of the children of the royal family? Is it even? Can you go there? Is that even a possibility that they were involved in such a thing, or had awareness about Andrew's Andrew's real blackmail operation that was done to Andrew. And I'm not saying Andrew did something good. He did terrible things. Obviously,
Mm.
he should not be forgiven for any of those. But was he entrapped by the bankers to the royal family? Is a real question that keeps popping up in my mind as I'm keep going over and over these files and figuring out why are the Rothschilds everywhere here. And I know people don't like to talk about this family. I am determined to just ignore those feelings of anxiety every time I say it, because I think it's the family that we need to be looking at more than anything
The
else.
Rothschild family.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ely de Rothschild. Yeah,
Yeah. The whole
yeah,
thing is just, I wrote about this on a post on Friday. I don't know if you saw this, but it was just a very
yeah.
detailed look at everything Rothschild and the Epstein files. And I know there's fear. I know people are terrified of this family. And we've also been told that every time we mention the name, it's an anti-Semitic trope. It isn't necessarily an anti-Semitic trope. I'm just reporting the facts that this family, which is a banking family close to the Queen, is also involved with Epstein and was also involved in turning Mandelson into an asset for the Russians. I mean, those are the facts.
Mhm.
You can call that anti-Semitic if you want, but it isn't. And so it is very significant then that this man today, even though he may have done so unsuspectingly, even though he may have been an unwitting asset or whatever you want to call him, was led away in handcuffs today. And let's just do this again so you can see him walking out there, and arrested. This is something really huge. And Gordon Brown, by the way, shows up in the Epstein files as well, because when when Gordon Brown finally resigned, Mandelson actually emails Jeffrey Epstein saying, I got rid of this guy today about Brown, um, which is interesting. That's what he said,
So,
meaning he had
so,
that
so
much
can
power.
I ask you a question?
Mm,
How there's this ambiguous reference thousands of times to the Rothschilds family.
mm.
Who are they?
They're a very famous banking family that have been on the inside of the aristocracy for centuries, since like the 1800s. And they are both French, originally started as a French family of Jewish origin, but they also split up into various branches. And so there's a French branch and there's a British branch and there's a Russian branch of their world too. Most of these supposedly operate individually and they don't cross over, but they really do cross over because they all share the same name and the structures. They've been very controversial over the years. Some people say they funded Hitler and all these other things. I don't think they did necessarily, but there is they're very connected to wars. They're very connected to arms dealing. They're very connected um, to a lot of offshore holdings. For example, one of Epstein's favorite trade was in offshore holdings,
Mm.
and because they've been the bankers to the queens and the royal families and all these other things, they have basically been hiding all the aristocracy's money in offshore holdings in Jersey and Guernsey and all these other places. One does those things in Bermuda, and so they've been very looked after. They've almost considered part of the aristocracy, but they never really made it into the aristocracy. So they've never quite risen into the ranks of the royal families, although they've always been around them because they've been good bankers. They've been making money.
So if we're going to put this in Harry Potter terms, they were the Gringotts Bank of the royal family.
I don't know what that is, but yes, I think it is. Yes, I think you're right. Whatever you're
Yeah.
trying to say, I think, yeah. Look, they're very, very influential. Obviously, they've got so much money. They own so many assets, but they're very controversial too. There's no doubt about it. This is very dangerous for this family's reputation. The fact that they had Epstein on a $25 million contract is serious nightmare after 2008. I mean, they put him on the contract after the arrest for the child abuse arrest in Florida. So the fact that they're that intimately involved, there are more emails between Epstein and Ariane de Rothschild than anybody else in that entire um, list of emails, except for maybe just his. I don't even know who ranks more. Jess Staley, maybe, but I'm not even sure. I think it's Ariane de Rothschild who basically emailed him almost every other day over a long period of time and was close to him. And she runs a huge bank actually, I'm not sure where it's based. I'm not sure where her side of the bank is based, but it's a Rothschild bank, and she has a huge empire that she runs. And for her to be so close to Jeffrey Epstein over the years is mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. And then to see Nate Rothschild pop up, procuring Lord Mendelson as an asset. Well, that's also, interesting to say the least. I just all really revealing.
Yeah, so they've got a couple of different banking entities. One is Rothschilds and Co., Paris financial-based group formed by merging French and English businesses in 2003. Another major separate institution is the Geneva-based Edmond de Rothschilds Group. Those two banks hold more assets from Epstein files perpetrators,
Mm.
alleged perpetrators, than all the banks in the world combined. Just so you know.
I didn't
And
know
they
that.
also
That
do a
makes
ton
sense.
of business with JP Morgan Chase, did a bunch of business with Bear Stearns, da 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 da.
It all
So
connects. It all
yeah,
connects.
to your point, and I think that there's these enigmatic families that come from these historical backgrounds that've been operating quietly for a very long period of time. And keep in mind, I fucking hate conspiracy theories. Hate them all.
Mhm.
I do not have a tinfoil hat. I never lean into things unless I have facts that would say, okay, we need to look into them. To describe the Rothschilds family as enigmatic is generous
Mm.
because not only do we not know anything about them other than the things that we're told to believe about them, they are completely attached and mentioned more often than not, more often than any family, than any name, than any congruent relationship that Jeffrey Epstein had, than any family on the planet in the Epstein files.
Mm.
And what they did and their specialty is hiding and growing the wealth of elites around the world in complete and utter fucking silence. Just
Yeah.
so everybody knows.
Yeah, it is. It is. That is 100% true about their notoriety and ability to really make these people even wealthier than they already are. You know, I am struck by two things that happened. In 2015, the Panama Papers came out,
Mhm.
and if you remember, the Panama Papers were the revelation of all the offshore holdings of the world's elite. And it happened under Obama's presidency, and it was considered incredibly controversial because suddenly we knew who everyone was who had all these offshore holdings, and it was worth trillions and trillions of dollars. And what followed from that were two um, uh, uh, indictments of the Rothschild family. One was related to 1MDB, that huge scandal out of Malaysia. The other one um, was just related to stealing money, I think, basically laundering money from Americans. And it turns out that it cost them a lot of money to get out of those suits. But I always think, is that what really cracked them? Did that 2015 revelation of the Panama Papers and the Paradise Papers, was that really the earthquake in the institutionalized money of the world, where they thought, well, we have to do something, we have to take over America to avoid prosecution, or we have to destroy America so before it destroys us, or any number of those kind of scenarios have
Mm.
flashed in my mind, and I know that's conspiratorial in thinking, and I don't like to think conspiratorially, but the timeline bears that out. It does feel to me like that's what happened. Like these papers come out, they get intense scrutiny. Everybody and we look at all the people involved in the Panama Papers. I like it when you take notes because I know you're going to write about it. So it's good. Um,
But and I want to get into the
yeah,
Panama Papers
yeah.
because if I'm not mistaken, Robert Maxwell was very close friends, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, with the Rothschilds family. Robert Maxwell institutions very much involved in the Panama Papers, if I'm not mistaken correctly.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Epstein very much involved in the Panama Papers through that registration company where it was leaked. All that information was leaked. I think I think it's the Isle of Jersey that there were leaked from, and I think the Epstein was related to that leak. Look, the Rothschilds and the Maxwells go back a long way, and if you listen to Maria Farmer talk about this, she reveals that Ghislaine told her that she worked she worked for Wexner. Wexner worked for her, but that the Rothschilds were the protecting family of that group. So you've got the alignment with Israel, which they're very big supporters of Israel. You've got the
Russia.
support of they're from Russia. They've got a huge influence in Russia. They've got a big office there. A lot of the Panama Papers, when you look at who was involved in the release of those, and then the Paradise Papers, which followed that, well, they were Russian. Vladimir Putin's $2 or $3 billion were found in those papers. They were hidden offshore. Saudi Arabian money was hidden offshore. lots of royal family money was hidden offshore, plus a lot of others. So you add all those things together, and they're the same players, the very same players that are currently, you know, supportive of Donald Trump and put him in power in 2016. Not to mention Peter Thiel, who's also funded by the Rothschilds, which just, you know, it's just a lot of coincidence that there's so much Rothschilds going on because it just doesn't look like there isn't something going on. It looks
Why
like
haven't we
something's
seen
going
them?
on.
Where are they? Where are the Rothschild? Where are the people that are involved from the
They're all
Rothschild side of this equation?
they're all over the world. I mean, they're based all over the world, and I think you know this is why there is such when you see when you see Andrew being arrested, that is such a landmark, once in a 400-year kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That it's only being done with the say so of the king and the crown, and they're all aware of what they're doing, and it means they've understood the situation. And I think they are, you know, the term that Charles said was going to let the law play out or something like that. They know this law is going to play out and how it's going to play out. And they know by arresting Lord Mandelson, he's going to start bringing in other people and they'll bring other people. And maybe Lord Mandelson will bring in Nate Rothschild. Maybe, you know, it's going to start being very apparent, I think, that the Rothschild family is intimately involved in what's been going on. And
Well,
that is huge
that's
news.
part of the equation that makes me laugh is because one of the reports that I read today on Mandelson is that he's ready to start telling everybody who he was working with.
Yeah.
You know, much like Epstein was before he got hung. So, hey, heads up if you're tying bed sheets in whatever, maybe it's Belmarsh, who knows, whatever jail, whatever holding facility that Peter Mandelson's in. I have it on very good authority, as we all do, that, you know, he's a suicide risk already because of what he's ready to say. That's what I read today.
I mean, it may be that he's a suicide risk, but I also believe he's going to be quite forthcoming. And I think he's, at the end of the day, was, you know, probably unsuspecting in all of this. I'm being generous here. We don't know for sure, but he probably was
Yeah, and
unsuspecting.
listen, when you get caught in these kinds of things, if
Yeah.
anybody's ever been caught in these
Right.
kinds of things, thankfully I've never been caught in these kinds of things. But people like that, like Andrew, like Mandelson, are so fucking soft and gooey. And listen, as a British citizen, I can actually speak to it.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, the aristocracy has never had a bad day in their life that they haven't been able to fucking engineer their way out of, right? The people like Mandelson, people like Prince Andrew. So when you see pictures of Prince Andrew huddled in the back of a car like this,
Yeah.
please, okay, and you see Mandelson walking out of his apartment in handcuffs, it is a 12 alarm blaze for every single fucking person that knew them, every institution they were involved in, every bank that they dealt with, every single person around the world, whether they're the Rothschilds or the Putins or the Trumps. And that is the fucking awesome part of what's going on is that we see the UK start to say, okay, with the blessing of the king. Because listen, none of this happens without the blessing of King Charles. None of this happens.
The
And
blessing
King
of
Charles is
the
being
next
pushed.
king, the next
The
king,
next king,
King William is
Prince
doing this.
William, yeah, King William and
Catherine.
Catherine are doing
Yeah.
this right now. And listen, it's going to happen before it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And as much as we laugh at the aristocracy, as much as we laugh at the royal family, there is, from what I understand, and you I think you understand this too, from reading the tea leaves, talking to people in this industry, there is nothing that King William, future Queen Kate want more than to deal with this before they ascend to the throne. Nothing they want done more than this because, as royal as they are, I think they're actually fucking good people
They
who are
are,
like,
and
all right,
they do not want to carry this with them. I mean,
no.
they are the expression I'm hearing from my sources is they're clearing the stables. You know, it's a very British term
Mm.
for what's going on, but they really are. They're not interested in this continuing as part of the royal legacy. And Charles is 77. He's got a couple of years left in him. He knows that this is terrible. That there's nothing good that's coming out of this, and for him to have this go well with his son, he needs to do the honorable thing and clean it up, which is why he signed that statement not as the king but as Charles R by his ordinary name, because he does not want
Mm.
the royalty. He doesn't want the crown to be associated with the scandal that's coming, and he is aware of what it is now. It's arguable the Queen did not know what Charles knows today. It seems to me that the intelligence they have now over what happened over those years is far greater, and they may have a far clearer understanding, as we all do. I mean, we all sort of learned this along the way that,
Yeah.
Andrew he was there, he participated willingly, all those things, but he also may have been entrapped and been involved in a big spy scandal, which also happens, to people like that. So it's fascinating to me. The thing is, this has got to be ringing in DC like a huge alarm bell. I don't understand anyone who's still on the side of these pedophiles can see what's coming, because it's very clear what's coming. If you're still standing next to Donald Trump, if you're still supporting Trump and his Epstein network, you are on the wrong side of history. And everyone should be asking, what did the president know? When did he know it? And did he take part in it? Because it's clear that he did. As he stands up for the State of the Union tomorrow with at least 10 survivors in the audience coming in tomorrow for the State of the Union, he's got a lot to answer for. And Republicans who think that they're going to be electable after supporting this pedophile ring when it's all comes out have got just another thing coming. It's just not the case. It's just not happening.
Well said. I'm really looking forward to the State of the Union. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of those victims in the seats of Democrats and Republicans that have vacated their seats, so that those victims can face the man that is perpetrating one of the greatest cover-ups, if not the greatest cover-ups in the history of humanity. And we're watching other nations. I think we're up to 17 or 18 different countries now that have started investigations, independent investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, into the people involved in their own countries and the victims involved in their own countries. Depending on where they're from, Canada, Lithuania, Poland, Germany. I mean, all of these countries have jumped on board. And listen, there's going to be part of this conversation. There's going to be a narrative, and that narrative is going to be bullshit. And that narrative is, well, these countries are just woke. No, fuck. No, man. There's like a 40-year history of pedophilia, 40-year history of sexual predation. There's a 40-year history of honeypotting. There's a 40-year history of international crimes. There's a 40-year history of crimes against humanity to cover up those international crimes. And we're starting to see the levee break. So I hope that everybody involved in this conversation, everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, everybody that has a vested interest in trying to find out what has happened for the victims, continues to stay on this conversation as opposed to being turned off by it. Because it's easy to be turned off by this conversation. It's easy to look at the institutions of power and the aristocracy, specifically in England, and go, well, nothing is going to change. Well, fuck. You just watched Prince Andrew get arrested for it. A prince. A guy that had diplomatic immunity until Prince Charles saw some shit and went, or King Charles, and went, whoa, yeah, we can't be associated with that. And we're watching lords get arrested that are U.S. ambassadors. You want to talk about diplomatic immunity? Ambassadors can literally murder someone in a foreign country and get away with it. And Peter Mandelson was pulled out because of his association, pulled out of the United States because he is so fucking guilty of working with a pedophile. Oh, I'm still there. You got
Are you? That's
this pedophile.
I think it's much better.
I'm there.
Yeah.
This pedophile network to allow this to continue so he could continue to profit. And that's the thing that fucking drives me crazy, is that every single one of these people is there because there was some personal benefit to them, had nothing to do with doing the right thing, and never did. To them, the right thing was, how can I be a person of influence, and how can I be on the inside? And what they're now on is on the outside, and they're going to fucking jail, and we're watching it, and it's beautiful.
There is a lot more news that we've got to get to today, because I really want to get it all. I hope you can go a little long, Dean. Are you able to go a little longer?
Yeah. Totally.
Let's just update people on what is breaking news right now. Barry Weiss might have thought Peter Attia should be staying at CBS News, but the world didn't think so, and the Crown didn't think so, and other people didn't think so. Email showed that the longevity influencer had provided medical advice to Jeffrey Epstein and had made crude comments about women. Well, he was disinvited from CBS News. He resigned from his position as a contributor to CBS News after the backlash, and CBS News named Dr. Attia as
him.
one of the stable new contributors in January. So Yeah, goodbye, Peter. He's Canadian as well, but
Yeah, he's lost it all. I mean, like I'm an AG1 guy. Like his powder that he has, I love
yeah. Oh, is that
AG1. It's got
his? I thought it
probiotics.
was
Yeah,
they used to
that's him.
sponsor
That's
me.
him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah, yeah. AG1.
yeah.
I got rid of AG1 in favor of a different, supplement that I normally do. I never was going to buy his protein bars. This guy is a huckster. He's a wellness influencer, but more importantly, he was deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein. He's Canadian, and I've said this many times: is that I don't care who you are or where you're from.
Mhm,
I will take care of my backyard, and I went after Peter Attia, and some of his people came after me 2 weeks ago
mhm,
because of his name's in the Epstein files. They're like, you have no idea about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. You have no. I'm like, fuck, it doesn't matter. Post conviction, he fucking loved the guy. He gave him health advice. He talked about partying with him and how exciting his life was in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and how he missed Jeffrey Epstein, longed to be on the island. We're at the point of fucking zero tolerance.
mhm,
And if you can't take care of your own backyard as a Canadian, and if you can't speak to the fact that Peter Attia, who is Canadian, who left his wife at home with a son who was dying so he could party with Epstein, that is well documented. And if you can't look at everything this man does and immediately discount Peter Attia's commerce in every aspect of your life, you're crazy. I got rid of my iPhone. I got because of fucking Tim Cook. I got rid of AG1. I got rid of Amazon. Listen, everybody needs to get on board.
mhm.
If it has anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein, and it doesn't matter if it's Canadian, it doesn't matter if it's convenient, it doesn't matter. You have to fucking call it out. So, when it comes to Peter Attia, last thing I'll say
Yeah.
is that I can guarantee you that Barry Weiss didn't fire him because Barry Weiss would have kept him around as long as she could. Peter Attia quit today because he is so ashamed and he's in hiding. That's the other thing. He hasn't tweeted since his big mea culpa, Peter Attia. He hasn't talked once. He hasn't and this guy, you couldn't shut him the fuck up prior to this. He, like everybody else, is going through something called Moffin Maiden. You know what Moffin Maiden is?
No.
It's great. Back in the Second World War, you know all those Nazi collaborators in France and the Netherlands and Denmark that, a lot of them were female, a lot of them were men, but most of them were female that gave comfort and aided and abetted the Nazi regime, whether they were prostitutes or they begged for them or they ran errands for the Nazis. As soon as as soon as the Nazis lost, those countries went after all of the collaborators, shaved their heads, tarred and feathered them, and literally would like carve Nazi insignias on them so they would never forget. Think of
Mhm.
Inglorious Bastards. That's what Peter Attia is today, and that's an entire community that's going to be created. Is the Moffin Maiden of MAGA,
Yeah.
the people associated with Donald Trump, the regime, the people associated by supporting this pedophile engagement routine, all the people that were involved, they will become persona non grata, and they're going to go through their own humiliation ritual.
There's
And
a
I
lot of
can't
people
wait for that.
there's a lot of people who made it in this world because they were helped by the support of this network. They were buoyed into success, not because they deserved it, but because they were appropriate for this network. They were loyal to this network. They did things for this network. Now, I'm not saying Peter Attia didn't deserve his wealth or his success. He obviously is very successful and did that on his own. But there are a lot of people who have been lifted into this world, into positions of authority because they were compromisable, because they were friends with this network, because they were friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump and everybody else in this network.
Pals
And
of the
yeah.
collaborators,
And
right?
this is what's going to happen. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people who are billionaires who have no reason to be billionaires. They just happen to be there. And those people and everybody really connected with this are going to have to pay a price, even if they didn't know that they were doing something terrible. The reality of it is they benefited from something that was absolutely corrupt to its core.
Yeah.
And had the worst intentions, and they went along with it, whether they liked it or not. It's an indictment on their character. Meanwhile, the
Dude, they looked
president,
away.
yeah, they looked away. You know, do you see this clip? It just out today, where with just happened this morning. This is the president. I don't know if you can see that. He looks well, doesn't he?
No.
Um, he walks away. He says thank you, and he's walking away. And I don't think he knows what he's doing at this point. Looks completely
Oh,
not.
is this morning's
Yeah, yeah,
presser
yeah,
where he was almost incoherent,
yeah. That's
walked
the same
and
one where he looks like
wondered
he's lost
aimless?
it. Yeah,
My
that's the one.
God, if folks, I'm going to post. I posted a
I
lot
don't know.
today,
Are
but
you
I'm going to
seeing it?
post.
Are you not seeing it? Are you just seeing it
No,
on
I
mute?
see it. I see it.
Okay.
I just don't see the actual moving video of him
Oh, yeah. I
moving.
thought I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
seeing the
yeah,
moving
yeah.
video. So let me show it to you again.
No,
Maybe it's this
yeah.
screen that I'm playing it on. This is the screen I'm playing it on. Okay. Sorry about that.
Look at that guy, just full of dementia, looking around, saying thank you,
He
wandering around, looking around, grabbing the lectern,
out of it.
standing there, no idea where he is, no idea what's going on. Walks over, claps to one side of the room, says
And no
thank
clue.
you, no
No clue.
idea.
No clue what he's talking about. Nothing.
No, no. And if you missed the preamble to this, he was he was incoherent.
Mhm.
Like Donald Trump is at this point completely
There he goes,
incoherent.
walking away.
Oh yeah, 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 dude. And like this is reminiscent of how Putin walks away. And if you've seen anything with Putin when he comes into the room full of halls and you've got a bunch of people standing around him, but Donald, like Putin's, he manages to get to the lectern, without looking like he's got dementia, and then delivers whatever he's got to deliver and sounds ridiculous. But this is very Putin-esque. At the same time, he he was clueless as to where he was today and made no sense in
There's a lot of
his
stress when they're
none.
coming for you. When they're coming for you, and you know the network's coming is falling apart around you, and he knows who's in that network. He sees Mandelson, he sees Andrew go down. He feels it. He knows what's going on. He knows that those
Think
are,
so?
of course.
You think he's getting it? You think he's
I
starting
think
to
he
understand
understands
that,
the
"Oh my
message.
god, they took out Andrew. Oh my
Yeah.
god, they took out Mandelson. Maybe I'm next."
This is getting close. It gets closer and concerning, and it's an issue, obviously, because he's not going to get sleep at night. He's going to have to address the nation tomorrow on an empty success rate. It's at the State of the Union, and he's got his entire network falling apart. The number 4 story in the countdown. We have to get to these because they're so good. The New York Times dropped a bombshell today. Internal investigations at Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, discovered that $1.7 billion flowed from 2 accounts on their platform to Iranian entities linked to the Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, a designated terrorist organization. Yes, that's $1.7 billion to Iran's terrorist army enablers. And, the thing is, we all know that Binance is a partner of Donald Trump and his kids' cryptocurrency firm. He also pardoned the founder of Binance, the same guy who's allowing this $1.7 billion flow
CZ.
to
Yeah.
throwing
Canadian
to
dude. Yeah, yeah.
is he? Oh, not the
Yeah, yeah.
Canadian. Canadians are great.
Well, he's
Uh,
Canadian national. He's Chinese Canadian national who
one
now lives in the United States. Yeah.
$1.7 billion is a lot of money, to be flowing through a partner of the American presidency, through a guy that he recently pardoned for doing similar kind of things. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Meanwhile, they had this investigation happen inside the Binance, and then they fired the guys who did the investigation because they're trying to cover it all up. You know. Meanwhile, Kash Patel's partying in Milan. I've got nothing to investigate. Nothing happening. No crime anywhere. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy, man. This much rampant, criminal behavior and money laundering and bribery, this much, generally speaking, it doesn't happen in democratic countries. It just doesn't, which gives you proof that the United States is no longer a democratic country. I mean, you can look at the executions of U.S. citizens. You can look at the internment and deportation of migrants and people of color legally in the United States. You can look at all those things and go, this isn't a democracy. But nobody's doing anything about the fucking profit taking and the theft through crypto, through Bitcoin, through digital assets. Nobody, because Donald Trump knew that his only way to truly enrich himself and to be able to get away with it is to do it through crypto, through Binance, through companies like Binance, CZ, World Liberty Financial. And if you're one of those people that's been paying attention and you look at all the self-enrichment and the things that Donald Trump's like, whatever, man, Qatar just gave me a jet, no big deal. You'd be crazy not to take it. Whatever, man. This hotel in Dubai, no big deal. You'd be crazy not to take it. My sons are allowed to do business. All of those excuses sit within this criminal enterprise of crypto and Bitcoin. And all of them come back to CZ, Binance, and World Liberty Financial. It's not just about missing 1.7 billion in crypto. It's about a way that Donald Trump forces people to pay him for fealty. And that's what this is. That's all of it. It's got nothing to do with anything else. If you think Donald Trump has a fucking vested interest in running the United States, you're nuts. He has a vested interest in co-opting the name of the United States, like he co-opts different brands to sell mattresses and vodka and
He has a
steaks and
vested
all the
interest
other
in running
bullshit
the
too.
United States into the ground, is what he has, and that's what he's
Yes, he
doing.
does. Yeah.
It's just this. Meanwhile, there's a war brewing. The potential for war is pretty high. Although we'll see what really happens. Number 3 story is Judge Eileen Cannon, the Trump-appointed judge in Florida, ruled today to block public release of Jack Smith's classified documents report. So another crime the president committed is being hidden by his crony judge. This is the report that would have detailed all the evidence prosecutors collected and during that trial about the documents that were stored in the Mar-a-Lago toilet, amongst other places. The strategy they would have used at the trial as well would have been revealed. 40 counts of illegally retaining classified defense information as well. Prosecutors have already said that some of the documents found at Mar-a-Lago contained information about top secret U.S. operations so closely guarded that many senior national security officials didn't even know about them. Well, now Eileen Cannon is assuring that none of us get to see what really happened during that investigation. And it's another slight on this criminal presidency, obviously. Yeah. You can make it up. You
Are you
can't.
shocked? Are you
No, I'm not shocked by
surprised?
any of this. It's just like a litany of crazy after crazy after crazy. And none of it is going to hold up. I mean, the dam is
Well, of
just,
course. Well, it will for a bit, right? Like, everything that Trump does is lawfare. He counts on certain people to be able to hold up a process so that he can continue to get away with the things that he gets away with. I mean, you look at the tariff scam. The Supreme Court said, "Hey, fuck you. You can't do the tariffs." And he's like, "Okay, I'll just move those tariffs under these other 2 laws that I'm allowed to do that." And John Roberts, to his credit, said, "Hey, if you do that, we're just going to rule against them again because they're still illegal. Doesn't matter how you frame them." Eileen Cannon is a bitch. She is a absolute fucking MAGA slut. And when I say that, I'm not saying that in terms of her inability to keep her legs closed. I'm saying that in terms of her fealty to a fucking pedophile and her willing to sell herself out to prevent the American people from seeing what they richly deserve to see, which is the defraudment of the American people, the idea that Americans are not entitled to the fucking truth. There's only one reason a judge would say, Americans aren't allowed to see the criminality of Donald Trump. They're not allowed to see it. Can't see it. It's too explosive. And it's got nothing to do with the rule of law, and it's got everything to do with her fealty to the guy who put her in that position. If anybody needs to understand who Aileen Cannon is, look at who fucking put her in the position and then look at her resume. She is a parking judge. She is a judge that adjudicates shit like speeding tickets. And now she's deciding on behalf of Trump whether or not people are allowed to see the J6 information and attestation and
this is the
evidence. Are you
classified documents.
fucking
This
kidding
is
me?
he sees state secrets that he sold and stole and sold that he kept in the Mar-a-Lago ballroom and then moved to the bathroom and then left in an unguarded area so the spies who are members of Mar-a-Lago could get access to them at any time. I mean, this is the ridiculous thing. The fact that they're hiding that is just another sign of criminality. Meanwhile, in the south of the border, Mexican special forces killed Namicio Seguara. I don't even know how you say
El
this.
Mencho. Just
El
say El
Mencho.
Mencho.
El
Yeah.
Mencho is the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the most powerful criminal organization in the Western Hemisphere. U.S. intelligence helped locate him, but they tracked one of his romantic partners to a small town called Tapalpa in Jalisco State. When she left his bunker, authorities stopped her, confirmed he was inside, and sent in special forces backed by 6 helicopters. Now, everyone who's in Mexico, who is currently on vacation, is American or Canadian, is reporting like scenes of war in places like Puerto Vallarta, where many people are dead, and there's just a does look like war. It just looks like that. 62 people dead across Mexico in total. Highways blocked, banks, supermarkets, buses set on fire. It's a real scene going on down there. This is a significant arrest, obviously.
Yeah, the funny part was the second that Mexican authorities said they had it under control and they were working to reopen Puerto Vallarta Airport, Donald Trump and Caroline Levitt came out and they're like, we were involved in that and we were in charge of that and we told them where to find El Mencho." Then Claudia Scheinbaum and the governor of Jalisco, this guy named Pablo something, I can't remember his last name, came out and said, "No, this is 100% like,
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't
us.
know
It's
that.
Mexico. We did the whole thing. It's got nothing to do with the Trump regime. They had no idea that this was going on. That's why they're Johnny come lately to the party." Pakistan and India were like, "Yeah, we know how you feel."
Well, good for Scheinbaum. I
We
mean, that is a very
yeah.
good move. And it's certainly going to, I mean, I'd be surprised if the Trump White House would have enabled any of this because they really are,
No, they didn't do any of that.
they're
They
on
don't
the other
share
side of this.
information. No, they
Yeah.
don't. And that's the other thing is that the Five Eyes don't share information.
Yeah.
The United States doesn't share information with Mexico anymore. Mexico doesn't share information with the United States. But here's the catch, and I think this is really important. So my partner actually came back from Puerto Vallarta on Saturday and has family that's still there, and they've been reporting on it. We've been in contact with their entire family. So if you want the real, here's what's really going on.
Can we get them on? We should get them on and talk to them.
Nah. The cartel, pissed off that El Mencho was killed, went and lit a bunch of buses on fire, a couple of 7-Elevens, cars in like parking lots at a Costco and grocery stores and stuff like that. And they took buses and they blocked certain intersections and lit them on fire. Okay. They've also been at war with the Mexican government now for probably about 4 or 5 days ahead of this. The Mexican government has it in hand. Puerto Vallarta is one of the safest tourist destinations in the world. It really is. Whether or not you believe it, according to the visuals that you see from people that are on the ground going, this is a war zone. It's buses and cars that are on fire. And the drug regime, the new cartel of Jalisco, which is led by this El Mencho guy who's now dead, said, "Hey, if you don't release him and if you don't, allow us to see him, we're going to keep lighting stuff on fire." Well, what they didn't know is that El Mencho was dead, right? So, long story short, this is well in hand. The Mexican government is dealing with it and taking care of it. And there is really no war or war zone. They're just lighting cars and buses on fire and parking them in intersections, right? That's what's going on. And in an abundance of caution, the Mexican government has decided to close the Puerto Vallarta airport. Fortunate that my partner could get out a day before. But the bottom line is that, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has once again tried to co-opt something else and the result of something else, like he's co-opted the gold medal and on behalf of the U.S. men's Olympic team. He's co-opting, everything that he can to make himself look like he's the peacemaker. He's the guy and the United States is in charge, and they're not. This has nothing to do with the United States, and the Mexican government's doing an incredible job of trying to clean up the mess that these gangbangers that are somehow associated through the Sinaloa cartel, mark my words, we're going to
I'm
follow
sure.
this
I mean,
up
I'm seeing,
with
I
Donald
don't know,
Trump.
I haven't figured it out yet, but there is a connection here that leads all the way to the presidency because I think all these stories are connected in a weird way. I think whether it's Iran or Epstein or Mexico, all these stories are
You got
somehow
it.
connected because there's just an earthquake happening in the world right now. And the people who were in power for criminal purposes are losing it right now. I think they're losing the war to the light, to the right, to decency, to justice, to all the right kinds of things. And I think it's happening. And the president of the United States may be one of those people facing that. I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You would be correct.
That is the FiveStack today.
Is that it? We're done?
That's the 5 big stories. I mean, we did a lot.
Guys, we did so good today. We
like a whole
covered
trip.
so many things. It was a whole trip.
Yeah.
We covered it all today. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, listen, this has been yet another incredible hour. And I think if you're going to have a takeaway from this, I always like to leave these things with a takeaway, is that the sim that Donald Trump is failing. The idea that Donald Trump is some kind of magnate, the idea that he's the chosen one, the idea that America is somehow fruitful because of Donald Trump is a lie. He will co-opt anything, whether it's, the Mexican government trying very hard to get rid of the cartel in communities around Mexico, or whether it's a gold medal on behalf of the Team USA hockey team. This guy is looking for anything he can grab to promote himself as a guy who's in charge, a guy who is trying to make it happen. He is failing miserably. And all you have to look at, and again, good news story, Peter Mandelson getting arrested, Prince Andrew getting arrested. The end of this regime is coming. And you can thank the law, you can thank better people, but thank yourselves because we have these conversations, but you show up for them. There's several thousand people that are watching this right now. There are several thousand people that are like, my God, thank you very much for showing, because you don't get this story from mainstream media, which is the importance of subscribing. Hit that Chiron at the top. It says Zev Shalev, Dean Blundell, narrative with Zev Shalev, deanblundell.substack.com. You see it at the top left-hand side. Little gray button with a sliding Chiron. Hit that. You can subscribe to both of us, but more importantly, subscribe to people that you trust. We've been through this many, many times, and we'll go through it every single day of the week with the FiveStack, which is this is a privilege for us to be in your life. We don't take it for granted, so we don't lie to you. And that's our currency. Donald Trump is lying to you. The regime is lying to you. Fascists lie to you. They lie to you about the state of your union, about the state of the world. Tomorrow night, Donald Trump's gives his State of the Union address, and we're going to have 10 to 20 Epstein files survivors, not victims, survivors in the crowd. I want you to note how fucking nervous he's going to be. I want you to note his body language. I want you to note how angry he's going to be that those people are there. I want you to note how quiet that entire place is going to be. One of the most hallowed political institutions in the United States of America. Do you know why? Because the fucking bloom is off the fascist rose. People get it. People know that Donald Trump's a pedophile. People know that Donald Trump's a rapist. People know that Donald Trump is a thief. People know that the American regime, the Trump regime, is a fascist regime that is here to destroy the United States of America, not to make it better. People know that now. So I want everybody to pay attention to that tomorrow. We'll do a State of the Union sort of special before and after. By the way, I'm just telling you about that now. So you and I are on.
Yeah, we're also carrying it live tomorrow. So,
oh yeah, there you go. We're going to carry the whole thing live.
Before and after, and you name it. We'll do a big
so
thing.
We'll have it here live, and we'll note his body language, and we're going to note some of the bullshittery in there. And listen, he is so unwell. He wandered around a lectern today, giving like a 20-minute speech. Made no sense. If you want Schadenfreude, ladies and gentlemen, you hate this man, enjoy tomorrow's State of the Union address, and we'll see you tomorrow night for that, because that is going to be fucking awesome.
That is a very, very good note. And as well, people say boycott the State of the Union. Don't boycott it, but you know what? Make sure that in every part of your social media output tomorrow, that Epstein is trending like crazy. We want to see Epstein all the way at every single Google ranking, on every single X ranking, you name it. Epstein should be number one on all the social media platforms tomorrow, because he will hate every second of it. So just keep mentioning Epstein, asking what he knew, asking why he still hasn't told people what went on, and asking about the cover-up. It's so important. And everyone should check out deanblundell.substack.com. Some great reporting there on the Mandelson arrest. Also, we didn't touch on this yet, but what's going on in Denmark with the hospital boat that's being sent. It's
yeah,
crazy.
Trump was like, Denmark had to save a U.S. submariner, like some guy in a U.S. submarine who was deathly ill. And so they're like, please help us, Denmark, come and save us. They're 7 miles off the coast of Nuuk, Greenland. And so Denmark sent some guys.
What were they doing there?
Routine patrols, nothing serious. They weren't doing anything. I know a lot of people want to lean into that, but it's where the sub was. And they're like, hey, can you help us? We've got a sick guy. So Denmark's like, fuck, okay. So they go and get this guy off the submarine, U.S. submariner, and they take him to Nuke Hospital. Literally an hour later, Donald Trump's like, we're sending a hospital boat to Greenland to take care of all the people in Greenland who have been abandoned by Denmark and Greenland. What Trump didn't account for is that Greenland has universal health care in a state-of-the-art fucking hospital. It's called the Ingrid, I can't remember the last name, Ingrid something hospital. It's fucking beautiful. I've been there. I walked through it. It's state-of-the-art. The sailor's being treated there right now, and has said he's never experienced better fucking health care. So Donald Trump's like, we're going to send a hospital boat. Now here's the catch. Both of these hospital boats that are apparently en route to Greenland to save the Greenlandic people are in dry dock. One's in pieces. They won't be ready to go for like a year and a half. They're being
Meanwhile,
greedy.
the Danish response has been kind of funny too, because here's their response. My country, Denmark, is going to send 2 mental hospital ships to the U.S. to treat the government. You're welcome. That's fantastic. Good for them. Good for them. That's
Anyway, you
great
can go
story.
read about that at deanblundell.substack.com. We've got a nice piece on Mandelson where you can read about that. And we've also got like an autopsy of Canada's 2-1 loss to the U.S. and why Donald Trump is co-opting a gold medal so that he can
Did I
get
make it
rid of all the
disappear?
pedophilia.
Here, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Here we go. Maybe I can close it this way. I don't know what happened there. There you go. No, I don't want to remove you. No.
No, don't remove me. Hey, bring me back. There you go. Anyway, you can read about that. You can read about Mendelson. You can read about what Canada stands for that America doesn't and why it matters, especially now. Anyway, go to deanblundell.substack.com. We've got 30% off your annual subscriptions. Right now, you get unlimited access for a year. You can lock in the price. And more importantly, just share this content. Always share this content. And thanks for joining us today.
Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on the FiveStack. And later on at 7 p.m., I've got an Epstein exclusive. I'm going to show you video from inside his cell, never before seen. I'll reveal it all this afternoon. We'll see you then. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye, guys.